Well, I told her I was going to do it. Okay. Look, I'm just going to be with her before they go. All right. Don't do that. Don't do what? Okay, I get that. I get that. But you gotta trust me. Why are you just in her salon? How so? When that happened, I wasn't even committed to you yet. Have you? Yes, it's me and you. You know that. Come on, don't do that. I just, listen, you don't gotta worry. Okay, she told me she wanted to meet our house. I told her I'm meeting her again. Then? Yeah. I'm gonna go straight there. I'm gonna talk to her, and I'm gonna come right back on you. Okay.
I don't know what's going on. Okay, well, hello everybody. Welcome. Y'all see the title. The title is Experiencing God. I just want to read some stuff on Experiencing God. Introduction. I'm gonna read the preface and the introduction, and then I'm gonna read a little bit of chapter 1, which is on page 7. Just read it to you, and y'all can like and comment and subscribe to my channel, whether you like it or not, like to read it or not. So, okay. So, Experiencing God, everybody probably heard of this book before, by Henry T. Blackaby and Claude B. King. All right, let's get to it. Contents, preference. The preference is we hope to get through some of the channels. The preference is a demonstration of God's power. When I first met and heard Henry Blackaby teach in 1986, I had no idea how God was going to use him to reorientate my life and ministry. Yet, in the past 7 years, I have experienced some of the most radical changes of my life. Henry directed me to the scriptures. He pointed me to the biblical examples of people who experienced a powerful, loving, personal God at work through them. He showed me how they came to know and do God's will. I felt as though scales fell from my eyes. God's plan to work through his people, was so clear and simple. Why had I not seen it so clearly before? Often I had tried a method or a formula for knowing God's will. I tried to follow a set of steps to find God's will. My success record indicates something was wrong. I felt empty, confused, frustrated, and unfulfilled in my ministry. Henry's teaching caught my attention. He said that we do not find God's will, it is revealed. God always takes the initiative. He gave temporary illustrations of how ordinary people and churches have experienced God's work in personal, dramatic, even miraculous ways. I thought about Paul's statement, my speech and my preaching were not with persuasive words of human wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, that your faith should not be in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. 1 Corinthians 2:4-5. That is what I saw in Henry's teaching, a simple biblical message coupled with the life through which God demonstrated his power. Henry always pointed me to my relationship to God, and that was the key to my experience of God's power at work through me. I studied the scriptures. I prayed that God will teach me about himself and his ways through experience, not just theory. My life turned into an exciting adventure. My path of ministry has not always been so thrilling. My utter failure following seminary in 1984, my wife and I resigned our jobs and moved to Gwinnett County, Georgia, near Atlanta. I sense very strongly that God had called me to be a tent making church planter, one who provides his own financial support through a secular job, helps start new churches free of charge. I had studied all the right books on church planting and church growth. I dreamed great dreams of what I was going to do for God. I spent 18 months develop my plans, and step by step, I began to carry them out. 6 months later, our furniture was still in the storage. In the middle of a 2% unemployment rate, we had no jobs. Our savings were depleted. Our checking account empty. Our debts were mounting. There was not even the nucleus of a new church. Devastated, we moved back home to live with parents. Until recently, I did not know what was wrong. Still called to be a tent making church planter. I was still confident of my call to be a tent maker, church planter. The only job that I was offered was at Baptist Sunday School Board as an editor. I would not imagine why God put me behind a desk when so many new churches are needed. Then I met Henry. He led me to a fresh understanding of knowing God and following him. My local church and association got a new director, James Powers. He had a burden for starting 8 new churches by the year 2000, which has passed. After prayer, I realized this was my opportunity to volunteer as a tent maker church planter. The associations extended a call for me to serve in that way as a volunteer. This time, I would not try to work my own plans. I refused to dream my own dreams of what I would do for God. We decided simply to share with churches the need to reach all people in our county with the gospel. We share how churches could be used of God to reach groups and areas that existing churches were not reaching. We talked about the wide variety of ways God might work to start a new church. Then we watched to see where God was at work so we could join him. God did it. After 3 months, I had a list of 14 places or groups that might need a new church. Where did the list come from? A person would stop me after a meeting or church service and say, God has given me a burden for a new church, or several people in our area feel like we need a new church for. After 2 years, we had 6 new churches with 14 pastors and another group meeting in a home Bible study with plans to start the seventh new church. Our churches found out that God had far greater plans for us than we could dream. God called people to serve and gave them a burden. God called churches to be the sponsors of the new missions. We did not have to find ways to motivate them. They were calling on us to equip them to do what God had called them to do. No individual was the key to the growth. No one church was the key. God did it through his people. A lesson learned. God allowed me to follow my own plans in Georgia, and I failed miserably. And he had an important lesson to teach me, and I choose to learn the hard way. And I found that I could not plan or even dream how God might want to do his work. I found that my relationship to God was of a supreme importance. I learned to love him more dearly, to pray more faithfully, to trust him fully, and to wait on him with anticipation. When he was ready to use me, he would let me know, and then I would have to make the necessary adjustments and obey him. Until then, I will watch and pray. His timing and his ways always will be best and right.